A very good morning to everyone. Welcome back to Inside Man United. And as always, my name is Rowan Brennan. Thanks very much for joining me on today, the 20th of December. God, this month is absolutely flying. Hope you got your Christmas shopping done and you're all on the nice list and been having a few drinks and enjoy yourselves. It's always a great time of year. I know some people hate Christmas, but fuck them. It's a great time of year. So I hope you're all having a good week and gearing up for Christmas and getting fat, getting drunk, getting hungover and enjoying yourselves and getting ready for a bumper couple of weeks of footballing deliciousness. The United-Liverpool game, delighted with the result. People going, pathetic. You weren't even there to try and win. Given what happened last year and given the malaise United currently find themselves in and the form Liverpool have been in at home and the injuries that we have, it was absolutely screaming out that United were going to be defending for their lives for a majority of that game. And we had a couple of opportunities to steal a win. But United were good for the draw. Were they outplayed? Well, I mean, it kind of went exactly how I think that United team expected it to go. We're going to sit back. We're going to soak up pressure. Don't let them score. And we'll maybe try and nick something on a breakaway. It's precisely what happened. And then they're all whinging. Oh, they didn't let us play our game. They only defended. The whinging that comes out of that club is outrageous. See the celebration they did when they got their 2-2 against West Brom years ago. Some of the things that club have done in the face of scandals and mediocre performances or kind of seemingly meaningless wins or results, and acting like having an open top bus parade for two of the tin cups. I mean, come on, man. But I think the Dick of the week is definitely Michael Oliver, joined closely by Dermot Gallagher, trying to defend the indefensible with the double yellow for Dalot. I mean, that was absolutely pathetic. That was a ref who just lost the plot, and I'm going to show him. And 2 yellows for the same incident when he could have given 3 yellows for the way Núñez behaved. And I'm not one for screaming United bias from referees or generally that kind of thing. I think a lot of things kind of even themselves out. But Michael Oliver was reasonable the whole game, but he wasn't given stuff against Liverpool, and then he kind of gives that double yellow against Dalot, and you're like, Jesus, man, really? I mean, it's the second biggest game of the season next to that game at Old Trafford. For United fans at least, but for the footballing calendar, United-Liverpool, that's the game. Now, Arsenal and Chelsea and Spurs fans might disagree, but the footballing landscape widely agrees that Liverpool-United is the game. That's the game in the Premier League. Bigger than the City Derby, bigger than the Merseyside Derby. United-Liverpool, that's the game. Tensions are going to be high. So you need to approach the game with a certain level of understanding of what the players are feeling, what they're going through, the pressure, the stress. 93 minutes in and you're giving a throw to Liverpool when United are hanging on for dear life to try and get a point, and you're giving a throw away to... And you listen, mistakes happen. I'm not so worried about the mistake. It's just punishing that reaction, and then Dermot Gallagher's frankly pathetic response when being paid to come on to give his opinion, knows he's in a corner he can't get out of. Oh, well, if I explain why Darwin Núñez didn't get his yellows, then it looks like I'm contradicting what I'd say about Dalot getting his yellows. And it's like, precisely, Dermot. That's why we want you to explain why there's a discrepancy from your brother in the referee department. But you can't say that because you're all like cops, because everyone hates you, so you can only protect each other. And then you'll defend the indefensible and then wonder why people think you're even bigger pricks than they did beforehand. It's bananas. Absolutely bananas. Michael Oliver made an absolute prick of himself with that decision, and Dermot Gallagher just threw fuel onto the fire. You can't respect referees when they come out like that. I mean, trying to defend each other makes people hate you more, and then makes you want to defend yourselves more, which makes us hate you more. It's just this vicious cycle. If he'd come out and said, yeah, maybe Michael, was a little harsh at the moment, I can understand why he wanted to try and control the game, especially towards the end. But maybe he could have approached it a different way. You don't have to throw a referee under the bus by saying that he was incorrect, or maybe let the moment get to him, or there were other avenues he maybe could have explored. You can be very diplomatic about these things, and still come across as professional. You're still kind of protecting your mate, but you're also being very fair and giving the fans what they would be expecting you to say. But no one expected him to say that. Everyone expected him to say exactly what he said, which was very little and completely in defence of the indefensible. So anyway, a point gained. I think United can be very happy with that. Have we turned a corner? I don't think so. We haven't been playing well. We haven't been performing well. We've been eking out performances. I think, again, it's going to be a very busy January. And on that note, we have loads of stories on potential comings and goings in the January transfer window. So without further ado, let's get to it. Coming up on today's episode, United want all-round midfield gem to replace failed summer signings. Man United plot a move for a Turkish superstar. United also targeting Raphinha in a swap deal that could involve Sancho. Ratcliffe makes United sporting director decision ahead of Alex Ferguson talks. Should Newcastle be worried, and what are they doing about it? RB Leipzig also eyeing Jadon Sancho as United chief visits Saudi Arabia for transfer talks. And 3 suitors offer Man United quick fix as Fabrizio Romano names triple transfer raid Ten Hag wants in January. All that coming up. So first up is the lovely gentleman from 442 who have this to say. United want an all-round midfield gem to replace failed summer signings. So United looking to right some wrongs in the January transfer window. There's a lot of guff going on that United aren't going to do much in January, and there is no way United can't do business in January. It's just impossible. They need a centre half and they need a striker minimum. It's not even up for debate. It's desperate, and they need to finish in the top 4. And with the squad they have, even with returning players, there's no way that's going to happen. So United looking to rectify their mistakes in the summer transfer market by signing a new midfielder in January. Sofyan Amrabat and Mason Mount not really doing what was expected of them. Even Amrabat's probably been the most disappointing. Mason Mount hasn't really been given a chance. He's been injured, and Amrabat, he's been okay, but I mean, even 40 million, it just screams of another Van de Beek. Do you know what I mean? A guy who has looked good in another league, but when he takes the step up, just doesn't quite do it. I personally want to see more loan deals from United. I think they should become part and parcel of most deals where, we'll take them for, we'll give you 10, 20 million for a loan fee, whether it's for 6 months or 12 months. And if it works out, we pay the rest. And if it doesn't, you get 20 million quid for one season, which isn't bad. But we save, 60, 70 million on a transfer that probably won't work out. So yeah, I'd like to see United do that more often. So I would not be taking the buy option on Amrabat. But from what I've seen so far, I think that money can be far better invested elsewhere. Casemiro also been out injured with Christian Eriksen. We know that Eriksen has been back training. Apparently, there's poor El Mason, not really getting to do what he can do, I suppose, this year. According to Spanish outlet Todo Fichajes, don't really know how to pronounce that. United are interested in signing Valencia midfielder Javi Guerra in the upcoming transfer window, reportedly valued at around £35 million after first making his debut in 2022. Guerra has now cemented himself in the Valencia side, becoming an important member of the young La Liga team. 18 appearances on all competitions, scored 3 times, got 1 assist. He's 20 years of age, described as a midfield gem, both as a defensive midfielder and box-to-box. So he's very versatile, can obviously play in a few different positions, which is exactly what United need in their midfield. Specialists are great, but you just do need good footballers. We've seen with Jude Bellingham, he can be a number 6, he can be a number 8, he can be a number 10, because he's just a very good footballer. And I think we need that. So there he is. There's the young man in question. United also linked with Valencia's keeper as well. A lot of talk about United being linked with Maignan from Milan, and we did an episode there a couple episodes back. Might have been the last episode, where we covered a story about Valencia's shot stopper. I think he's 6'6". He's a big boy, and Ratcliffe apparently is a very big fan and might want to be replacing Onana. But to be honest, goalkeeper would be very, very low on my list of priorities of where we need to bring in reinforcements at the moment, despite Onana being quite responsible for our early exit from the Champions League, unfortunately. But put in some good performances there against Liverpool and other teams. I think there is a good goalkeeper there, but I'm hoping it's not another De Gea where it's 3 great games and 2 stinkers, and you can't have that with your goalkeeper. So Mainu, McTominay, Fernandes, seemingly the preferred midfield three. I think most United fans would be swapping McTominay out for Amrabat, despite how disappointing Amrabat's been. He's definitely better than McTominay, certainly as a number 8. We can't keep having McTominay bombing forward when that's kind of Bruno's job. So McTominay not really as good as anyone else in the team at their respective midfield roles. So you got to step aside, unfortunately. Everton also interested in Guerra. So United will have some competition for him from the Toffees. And his contract with Valencia expires in 2027 and apparently has a release clause of 87 million pounds. So I don't know where that 35 million. Apparently available for 35, but he's got a release clause of 87. Seems kind of strange, but stranger things have happened. On to football 365, and look at that little troublemaker there. We got Hakim Ziyech, Zaha, and of course in the middle we have got one Mr. Mauro Icardi. What a lunatic that man is. Never far from drama. So according to reports, United interested in signing Argentina international Mauro Icardi from Turkish giants Galatasaray. After Ronaldo departed United ahead of this year's January transfer window, the Premier League giants were expected to sign 2 new strikers. So I don't know how recent this is. So yeah, after Ronaldo departed United ahead of this year's transfer window, the Premier League giants were expected to sign 2 new strikers. Man United were linked with Harry Kane, Ronaldo Moani, and Victor Osimhen, as they were hoping to sign a world-class forward and a younger backup, but they only managed to recruit 20-year-old Rasmus Højlund. Okay, I was thinking this article might be old, the way it was worded in the beginning. That was quite confusing. Yeah, he's been one of the United's better performers, as we know, scoring plenty of goals in the Champions League, but he has been struggling in the league. That's abundantly apparent. So United could certainly do with signing a new striker to take some pressure off Højlund, and according to reports, they're interested in Icardi. I like Icardi. He's a very good finisher. He's ballsy. He's tough. He's doing very, very well at Galatasaray, and there's still a lot of football left in him. He's only 30 years of age, and he's had 17 goals and 25 outings across all competitions for Galatasaray. Like, it's nearly 1-1. I mean, the guy is absolutely destroying that league because, well, to be honest, he's probably better than the Turkish league. If we're being honest, he's 30 years of age. He should be in the prime in his prime as a striker. He was a thorn in United side in the Champions League, and he scored in the 3-2 victory against United. Of course, we know that. Football Transfers are reporting that United are weighing up a potential loan deal for Icardi during the January transfer window. Personally, I don't see why Galatasaray would want to be parting with him, given how good he is. It would probably take a fairly substantial amount for them to give up that amount of goals. It is suggested that if completed, the deal for Icardi would be a loan with a clause attached. It's understood that Icardi is now seeking new challenges so soon after joining Galatasaray and doing very well. I think it's time to change it up a little bit, prompting the Red Devils' interest in securing his services for the remainder of the season in a bid to secure a place in Europe. It's believed the loan would have a clause attached. Ten Hag is urgently pursuing a new forward. I think it's pretty obvious we need a forward. Poor El Højlund, 20-year-old kid who should be there learning from more experienced strikers at a club like United, being asked to toe the line because he's a better option than a 27-year-old Anthony Martial. Bizarre. Notably, Icardi has expressed interest in joining Old Trafford back in 2022, and it's believed that he would be open to a switch. Excuse me. Meanwhile, sources inform us that United's winter window will be relatively constrained, with abiding by financial fair play regulations very much in mind. So yeah, certainly want to sign a new striker, but would a Wout Weghorst-esque loan. That's not the easiest thing to say on the cards, but given how important Icardi's been from Galatasaray, it's difficult to see them being willing to sanction his exit in the winter. I agree, but we can only live in hope. God knows what can happen in that summer. On to One Football. So United want to sign Raphinha in swap deal involving Sancho. So United interested in signing the Barcelona winger Raphinha in a potential swap deal for Jadon Sancho in January. Barcelona can't even come close to paying the wages that Sancho is on, and they value Raphinha at around 50 to 100 million. Very odd price range there, but listen, when you buy a player for 60 million and he doesn't work out, you can't really sell him for 60 million unless you're Chelsea and the player is Havertz. bizarre. Sancho is currently indefinitely suspended by the Red Devils following his public spat. We know about this. He's now refused to show any remorse for his statement, and United are prepared to offload him when the transfer window reopens at the start of the year. Fine. Sportnet claims that the idea of a swap involving Sancho was previously discussed, and the coming weeks could determine whether a deal materializes. The Blaugrana are also open to the prospect of offloading their winger to Saudi Arabia. Knowing there is money to be made, they have set a price of 92 million. So yeah, maybe that price range is, it's 50 million for Europe, but if Saudi come calling, maybe we can squeeze him a little bit, which is true. The former lead star has a clear desire to continue at Barcelona, saying he wants to stay there, but I think Barcelona, given their current malaise financially, would be quite open to cashing in on him. So United currently not somewhere that Sancho is expected to be staying. But Raphinha, I mean, he's had 17 goals in, I think, 68 or 67 games. So he's scoring 1 in 4, which was exactly his goals to games ratio at Leeds. So maybe they thought in a better team with more supply, he'd be kind of assisting and scoring more. I mean, Raphinha seems to be doing okay at Barcelona, but maybe not as prolific as they were expecting. I mean, other players have gone there and done reasonably okay. Like Cesc Fabregas, I mean, people think his spell there went badly, but if you look at his goals and assists, it wasn't that bad. Alexis Sanchez was the same. They just seem to just give up on some of these players sometimes and think, no, not for us. Provided there's a straight swap agreement, United may have no concern in finalizing a deal. If Barcelona are looking for extra funds as part of the exchange, the Red Devils could have reservations over a move due to their tight financial fair play. The spending spree this winter is dependent on player sales. Casemiro and Anthony Martial could be sold to Saudi clubs next month. I think that's pretty much a given. Yeah, weird how the Casemiro one went. It was a shame because I think a lot of United players a lot of United fans were warming to him quite a lot after his displays last season. But such is life. Sir Jim Ratcliffe makes Man United sporting director decision ahead of Sir Alex Ferguson talk. So Dan Ashworth seems to be the director of the week this time. It was. What was it? Goody, something Goody, the Palace director. He was linked. Obviously, Paul Mitchell from Monaco. Now it's Dan Ashworth, and he did some great work, of course, at Brighton before he was poached by Newcastle to come to their project. And we all know how well Brighton have done in the transfer window, both buying and selling. So yeah. He seems to have a pretty good track record, and that's something that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to bring into United, which I would be all for. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe has identified Newcastle sporting director Dan Ashworth as his primary target for a similar role at United. The Ineos Chief 71, who will assume control of United, has already been highlighting that sourcing a new sporting director to overhaul the club's recruitment strategy is one of the top items on his agenda. I think that's pretty clear for everyone. A whole host of names have been linked with United, but appears as though Ashworth, formerly of Brighton and the FA, is the man Ratcliffe has set his sights on. He was brought in by the FA as well to kind of revamp the English footballing setup from the youth teams to the senior men's to the women's. So obviously the women's doing very well in their international tournaments. The senior men's team getting to a semi and a final in the Euros and the World Cup respectively. I think in the England under-21s win as well. So there has been significant progress across the board in the various footballing teams that they have in the FA. So, you look at his track record at Brighton and the FA. I mean, he did some great work as well with Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. So, yeah, according to the Sun, Ashworth has emerged as United's top target for the role as Ratcliffe prepares to take charge at Old Trafford. Newcastle have since identified Bournemouth technical director Richard Hughes as a potential replacement for Ashworth. So Ratcliffe is expected to implement changes to United's off-field structure. So I believe that this Richard Hughes fellow worked with Eddie Howe at Bournemouth before, obviously, Dan Ashworth came in from Brighton. So there's already a relationship there between Richard Hughes and Eddie Howe. And it would seem that they want to get that duo in place, which also is good news for Eddie Howe, because as well as he's been doing, these ambitious clubs, if you're not finishing in the top 4, they might see that as a step back. They need to, freshen things up, go after a more established manager, go after Mourinho or, a Conte or one of these kind of, more exotic names. But if they're bringing in Richard Hughes, that's a good sign for Eddie Howe. And they obviously believe in what he's doing there in the project that he's building, which I, for one, am quite happy to see. I think he's a very, very talented young manager. And yeah, I thought it was wrong of Bournemouth to get rid of him, but they're doing okay now themselves. And, you know, Eddie's gone on to bigger and better things, which is always good to see. So yeah, just in relation to that as well. So Newcastle making plans for Dan Ashworth exit, with Man United hoping to land transfer guru. Very similar information here. But again, I think they just kind of go into a little bit about what I was saying there with the relationship between Eddie Howe. While Hughes is of interest, Newcastle would prefer Ashworth to remain in the post he started just over a year ago after leaving Brighton. The report goes on to claim the 52-year-old is Ratcliffe's primary choice. Furthermore, it's claimed that Ashworth would still be joined by another transfer expert, meaning that Paul Mitchell, Dougie Friedman, that's the name of the guy. Two other names touted as contenders for the sporting director role could still end up at United. Could that be too many chefs in the kitchen spoiling the broth? It might be, but, you know, decisions by committee can always be a lot more sensible than one man just doing his thing. But you also don't want to stifle the abilities and skills of an individual by having too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like an 80s super band producing shit music because everybody wants to be the main man. So yeah, interesting to see what will happen there. But yeah, new sporting director, I think it's quite clear. And to be honest, I think all United fans would be happy with any of those appointments. Dougie Friedman has done great work at Palace. Paul Mitchell obviously has a great pedigree with the roles that he's been in. And Dan Ashworth has done amazingly good work at the FA and Brighton, now Newcastle. So I'd be happy with any of them. But Paul Mitchell probably is the choice for me. I think he's done remarkable work, but I mean, Dan Ashworth is very tough to ignore. I'd be happy with any of them, if I'm being perfectly honest. Leipzig, Jadon Sancho as United chief visits Saudi Arabia for transfer talks. So yeah, an interesting piece here from TNT Sports, and let's scroll down here. Leipzig in for Sancho? Question mark. RB Leipzig could be ready to rival Dortmund for the signature of United winger Jadon Sancho. The Daily Mail reports based on a post from Bill's Christian Falk. So Sancho's been banished from United's first team. We know this. Bundesliga rivals Dortmund are also keen on re-signing the forward. But Dortmund have basically ruled themselves out. I think they know they can't afford him. I've no doubt they'd love to have him back at the club, but it just doesn't make sense for them. Barcelona and Juve also in the mix as well, like we covered with the Raphinha story. And then it goes on to say that Sancho, as well as Sancho, the 73 million signing from Dortmund, United are looking to sell Varane, Martial and Casemiro. So this is just gaining more and more momentum. However, with how well Varane played in that game against Liverpool, I wouldn't be in any rush to get rid of Varane. And maybe it's just his injury woes, but, you know, I mean, I think there's some other reasons why Varane hasn't been playing. I don't know whether there was a falling out. I'm glad I don't know, because it means it hasn't gotten out or there hasn't been any leaks. But, you know, he did well in the centre defence with the Liverpool game. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to see Varane go. But, I mean, if you could get 30 or 40 million from Saudi for him, kind of hard to ignore that. Clubs in the Saudi Pro League could pay the fees United are after, but perhaps not until the summer. Murtough is understood to have left Saudi Arabia without reaching an agreement on any transfer, but established some important new relationships for United, and further talks are planned. After spending over 750 million on new signings last summer, Saudi Pro League clubs will not be as active during the January window. I don't see why not. They've got the money. If players are available, why would they care? They've spent this much, they might want to kind of hold back a little bit. Yeah, because that's what Middle Eastern money is famous for, holding back and making sure that they're spending things slowly, steadily, and wisely. I don't know where they're getting that from. If they want a player and they're available, they're going to get them. Full stop. So not least as many of the top flight's 18 clubs have already filled their overseas player quota, so United may have to wait until the summer to trade with the cash-rich Saudi clubs. Interesting. So, Sancho, 3 suitors offer Man United quick fixes. Fabrizio Romano names triple transfer Ray Ten Hag wants in January. Okay, so more kind of guff about Sancho refusing to publicly apologize. We know all this. It's been done to death. A possible swap deal with Barcelona has been ruled out. Dortmund with the Daniel Malin. Now, Romano was kind of been confirming various players that United are certainly after, and Daniel Malin is one of them. I would hate to see us go after him. He can't even get into the Dortmund first team at the moment. He's kind of on the sidelines. He's kind of a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 goals merchant. Like, he's an okay player, but we haven't done well buying 3 of the best players Dortmund had in their ranks when they were there: Mkhitaryan, Kagawa, and Sancho. And now we're going to try and fix our woes by going for a player at Dortmund that's not even getting into the first team regularly. It would be absolutely mental to go for Daniel Malin. It's just another Elanga, Anthony, Pellistri kind of. We need a higher caliber of player than Daniel Malin. All respect to him and Borussia Dortmund. Nonetheless, his former side, BVB, would be keen on a possible loan rate for Sancho. We've been over this. So United desperate to resolve Sancho issues. But now Romano claims offloading the trouble winger remains a major priority for United ahead of the winter window, which opens in 13 days. He goes on to say, United need to decide on what to do with Sancho. No shit. The expectation remains for Sancho to leave in January, but United have to decide if they want to accept loan proposals. Yeah, so it doesn't look like anyone's looking to kind of buy him, and I don't blame them. United are desperate to sell. No one's desperate to buy. It's a buyer's market when it comes to Sancho, and he's very expensive. And I think, plenty of teams will just want to have, a bit of a trial, see what this troublemaker's all about. Let's not commit. I think the best United are going to do is a loan. The only way for Sancho to return, we know the only way Sancho can return is if it's an apology, and it's not going to happen. So yeah, let's skip over that. That story's been done to death, if I'm being perfectly honest. Ten Hag wants 3 signings for Man United. So another confirmation from Romano is United were looking to sign Galatasaray French back Sacha Boey for 25 million. And while Romano claims there is interest in that player, he's not currently thought to be one of the 3 signings that Ten Hag wants to bring in during the window. He goes on to say, Romano, elsewhere with United, there have been reports that Ten Hag wants 3 signings, a centre-back, midfielder, and a striker. No surprise there. Pretty obvious. My information on a defender has been there for some time. It's nothing new. Jean-Claire Todibo. I think everyone and their mother knows about that. There was links with Goncalo Inacio as well. Apparently, United willing to go in for him in the winter window. I think he's got a release clause of 50 million. I saw some articles about that as well. I've spoken about Goncalo Inacio, Antonio Silva, Jean-Claire Todibo in a previous episode. They are certainly 3 players United are looking at, but whether or not they'll get them in January or the summer remains to be seen. So midfield is not something guaranteed yet, and the same for the striker, which will largely depend on whether Martial leaves. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see United just cancel his contract in January and just let him leave on a free so they don't have to pay him £1 million a month, because they're going to have to pay Martial 5 million quid between now and the summer, and he's probably not going to score or play well, or he's just going to be injured again. So to save themselves 5 million quid and to give Martial a chance of getting a signing on fee and get him out of the club and make it easier for maybe smaller clubs with not as deep pockets to get a reasonably good player, at least when he decides he wants to play. I wouldn't be surprised to see United just cancel his contract in January. I don't think anyone's going to buy Martial. Despite him being 27, I mean, he should be able to fetch a tidy sum, but who's going to take a chance on a fella that just doesn't see Mars playing football anymore and can't stay fit? Sacha Boey's been linked with United, having also been reported as a target for Arsenal in the past, but I've never been informed of anything close or concrete. There is interest in him, of course, but it's nothing serious yet. So as United stands, as things stand, United's January window plans cannot be stated with any certainty, with much of their potential dealings hinging on movement elsewhere. As a result, supporters may need to wait patiently for confirmed transfers to get official green lights, and it would come as no surprise were these not to arrive until the closing days of the window, in typical United fashion. So that is a roundup of all the comings and goings and rumors in the upcoming January transfer window. So that's it for our news today, December 20th. And what do you guys think? Thoughts in the comment section. I mean, what do we think of these kind of transfers? I mean, do we need another striker in January? I mean, it looks like this Serhou Guirassy, this fella who's absolutely ripping it up for Stuttgart. 16 goals and 13 appearances or something absolutely mental like that. The guy just seems to be hitting a rich vein of form. I mean, we saw Andre Pirlo playing the best years of his career towards the latter end of his career. So, I mean, why not Serhou Guirassy? Why can't he just become the next big thing? Apparently his expected goals is 8, his XG is 8, and he's banged in 16, so it's not even possible to maintain those numbers. But listen, if you see a nice big wave, you jump on that bad boy and bring it all the way home. So, I mean, why not? But I think it's quite clear that United are going to be quite busy in January. It's essential with all the players they need to get rid of, all the players that they have out injured, and the form that they have at the moment. I think it's quite clear that recruitment and refreshment of that squad is badly needed. So that's it, everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining me. As always, thoughts in the comments, hit like, hit subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.